Hi everyone, it's Coach Fred here, and I wanted to take an opportunity to go over some of the questions on the quiz that a few of you had trouble with. I put them all in one video, so if you didn't get it wrong, you can skip past the examples to the next ones. But this was question number 3, and it said graph each line on the coordinate grid. Now I have to know that these are lines, and the way I always tell if something is a line is I look at the exponent of the x value. The exponent here is both 1, so if the x is 1, it's linear. If it's 2, it's quadratic. So these are linear functions. All right, so then I look at the form that they're in. I ask myself, okay, what form? And hopefully you're seeing these are in standard form, in the form ax plus by equals c. Okay, so the x and the y are on one side and the c is on the other side. So an easy way to graph these is by using the intercepts. Now, a lot of you keep putting them in y equals mx plus b, and you're making mistakes with that because there's negatives. And so using the intercepts is much easier. So let's review it. The intercepts are where a line crosses the x and y axis. And at those coordinates, one of the coordinate points is going to be a 0. So for example, when the x coordinate is 0, you're finding the y-intercept. So I let x be 0, I substitute it in, I get 2 times 0 minus y equals 8. Well, I just kind of cover that up because 2 times 0 is 0. So I have an equation, negative y equals 8, so y equals negative 8. I have a point on my line. All right, that's the y-intercept. The x-intercept is where the y value is 0. So I substitute 0 in for y. If I do that, this kind of part goes away. So I have 2x equals 8, so x equals 4. That's all I need to graph a line. I need 2 points. So I have the point 4 comma 0, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 0. There's the x-intercept, and 0, negative 8. So I'm going to plot that down here at negative 8. I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm going to draw a line through them, like that. That's terrible. I got to move it a little bit. Sorry. And there's my line. Okay, it's going through the points as best I can. Now I always want to label the line. So I'm just going to give it the label 2x minus 8. I'm sorry, 2x minus y equals 8. All right, now I have the other line, x plus y equals 1. Standard form, use the intercepts. Make a table. Let x be 0, so y then has to be 1. If y is 0, then x has to be 1. So 1 and 1 are my x-intercepts. I'm going to draw a line through them. And you're looking, if it's a system of equation, you're looking for the point where they intersect. So they intersect right about there, which is the coordinate point 3, negative 2. All right, so that's question number 3. Then some of the wheels started to come off on the word problems when we got to question number 6, but these are mixture problems. It even says mix and mixture. And I said that, guys, these are the ones kids make mistakes on. Let's follow a process. So a grocery store prepares a 30-pound mixture of trail mix to sell for $4.10. For the mixture, he's going to use dried fruit and mixed nuts. The dried fruit sells for $4.30 per pound and the mixed nuts sell for $3.90. How much dried fruit and mixed nuts will he use to make the 30-pound mix? So I can see that the question being asked is how much dried fruit and mixed nuts. So I'm going to let F equal the amount of dried fruit. And I'm going to just put DF. And I'm going to let N equal the amount of nuts. Now they said they're going to mix fruit and nuts and they're going to make 30 pounds of it. So that's the total amount. So that's my first equation. F plus N equals 30. But it's always the second equation that kids get stuck on. So I said, okay, let's pretend we're mixing things in bowls. Okay? So each of these numbers I'm going to have to do something to. So I take the price, or if it was a percent acid or anything, and I write it on the side to help me as a helper. So the fruit was selling for $4.30 a pound. I'm going to write that as 4.3. The nuts sold for $3.90 a pound, and the mix I'm trying to make was $4.10. If you write it on the side, multiply these guys to get your other equation. And mix means to me multiply, and so I'm going to multiply them and put them in the bowls. So 4.3F plus 3.9N equals 4.1 times 30, which is going to give me 123. And there's my second equation. So I'm going to rewrite it right down here. All right, now they're both in standard form. I'm going to use elimination. So I'm going to make the top equation, I'm going to multiply the top equation by negative 3.9. I really don't want to use substitution here. There's just too many decimals. It's going to get confusing. All right, so that's going to give me negative 3.9F minus 3.9N equals negative, and that works out to be 117. All right, now I add the equations together, and I'm going to get 0.4F equals, these get eliminated, equals 6, and then I'm going to divide by 0.4. And so I got F to be 15. So if F is 15, well then N has to be 15. So the question asks how much nuts? So 15 pounds of nuts and 15 pounds of fruit is my answer. All right, that was number 6. Okay, I'm going to be moving on to number 7. Number 7, another mixture problem. And I did give you a hint on this one. A chemist has 70 mLs of a 50% methane solution. How much of an 80% solution must she add so the final solution is 60% methane? Okay, so I said here was the hint. Let X equal the amount of the 80% solution and let Y equal the total amount of solution. Why is it that this one's slightly different? Well, because I gave that, we started with 70 mLs. So we have 70 mLs of the 50% solution, okay? And we're going to add to it the 80% solution to get an unknown amount. We don't know how much X is, so therefore that's going to be Y. All right, it's a mixture problem, so that one relates to the total amount. The other one has to relate to the acid. So again, I'm going to make a picture of this to help me. So the first one, the 70 mLs, was 50% solution, so I'm going to write that as 0.5 on the side. The X that I'm adding to it was the 80% solution, so I'm going to say that's 0.8, and then the final solution I wanted to be 0.6. Again, mix means multiply all of those to get my new equation. So 0.5 times 7 gives me 35, 0.8x, and then 0.6y. All right, so my second equation is 35 plus 0.8x equals 0.6y. Now, this is probably going to be a place I use substitution because I already have y solved for. So I am going to plug in 70 plus x in for y in this equation. I'm going to substitute it in. So that's going to give me 0.6 times 70 plus x. Now I got to do the math. So I'm going to distribute the 0.6, and that's going to give me 35 plus 0.8x equals 42 plus 0.6x. And I'm just going to do the solving. So I might here subtract 0.6x and then subtract 35. And that's going to give me 0.2x equals 7. And then I divide by 0.2. And that gives me x equals 35. The question just asked me how much of an 80% solution had to be added. So 35 milliliters. All right, so that's the first part of the video. I'm going to pause now and I'm going to start up a new video for you on the second part of the quiz.